What a spectacular operations you have here. So great to see the dedication to quality and to see how you're serving so well, your clients, and especially that leafy
The
green,
leafy greens.
leafy greens, right? That it's very much regulated and as it should be.
They just wanted to verify some of the circumstance, I guess you'd say. A lot of organic people were concerned about having compost put on a field and having that thought of maybe having a contamination.
Mm.
And so not saying that the compost was the problem. It could have been anything from somebody not washing their hands properly, could have been an animal that defecated. I mean, there's so many things outside of control but they wanted to make sure we're doing a controlled environment. So when we do take product to the field, that it's well established, well certified, and they've been a big factor in determining how the regulations should be.
And you mentioned California Title 14, which the regulations, particularly on windrow operations, in regards to PFRP and that process, right? How important it is that you are meeting above 131 Fahrenheit, as the regulation states, for that amount period of time, making sure that as you turn all of that other material, it's also included in that PFRP process as it's being brought from the outside in. And that's a lot of work to do, making sure that those temperatures are being met. And that's how you did it for a good almost 20 decades.
Almost 20 years.
20 years. And it
all started with these.
It all started with these, right?
And it wasn't a digital probe.
It was a digital, analog.
We'll just do a little probe here. But it's come a long ways compared to what we initiated with. I mean, we've gone from analog to digital to wireless. And it's worked out really well.
It's great to see that evolution and that progress.
Yeah.
We have, spoken with folks that have been doing it probably 40 years and multi-generational, some probably 4-generation composters. They talk about grandpa, right? Going out there and taking temperature readings, and to their own saying, I can't tell you how many times they ruined a Mother's Day's weekend and a holiday weekend because they wanted to go and make sure that process, because they either had a client that needed it, in a month or so from now, and they just could not afford not to, miss those days, and to see it kind of grow to where it's at. It's almost, a lot of people are really kind of been motivated to see that there's a company that is looking to tend to their needs, because a lot of this wireless technology for temperature readings kind of was focused more for ASP systems, right? And you'll see that, and that was the whole thing, is to kind of go through that process quicker. But all the windrow operations, it seemed like, kind of was being overlooked till Real Temp really kind of brought to the market a system that kind of checks off all the boxes. So probe number 20, a 36-inch. Okay,
you want to pull it out?
Sure. Now, let me ask you this, Bruce. What happens when you are turning the pile? How does the system know not to incorporate these temperatures that are ambient now?
That was one of the things that I was glad to hear from Rio Temp, that as we do a turning and we put it in our log on our tablet, it can do anywhere from 6 hours to 24 hours. It's a time frame that basically says that windrow is being turned, and those temps aren't being taken at that particular time, depending on your time frame that you choose. And when we pull them out, first thing is I make sure my guys remember where they put them, because the last thing I need is a windrow turner to go over that.
That's right.
But we just move them over to the next pile, and as he goes by and finishes, then we come back and replace. But it's very important that each of our employees understand the importance of removing them and not tearing them up.
So that grace period is part of that process of shortening it for you.
Yeah.
During the weekends, during the turning, so you're not really losing or skewing those calculations.
And that's the good thing. As soon as that time frame's up and it reestablishes that connection with the cloud, we're right back on temps.
So these probes, they're modular in design, and there's a stainless steel stem inside and a corrosion-proof sheath that's welded onto it. And there's something that you particularly asked for.
Yes, because the material, the steer and the dairy, is very corrosive. Not only just on stainless, it doesn't matter if it's on my compost turner, my trailers, everything, it just, in time, it just starts breaking it down.
So it's a way to kind of ensure your return on investment on buying these.
And that was another big option that Rio Temp had, is having this stem being corrosion proof. I mean, that's, for the investment we've got, it's a big addition.
Yeah. And you know, and it doesn't matter if the probes have a orange flag locator, it's still always very important in your process even to say, all right guys, we're gonna put this to the side and make sure that we're not running over them. This radio has a 1.5 mile range, and you have a 30-acre facility here.
Yes.
It's still transmitting, you're still capturing even at the farthest point.
Yeah, we haven't had any problems. I mean, I couldn't be happier with the way it's been working.
So it's nice and snug. But this is, you know, the importance of having a wireless probe that you could repair in the field. And in due course, when that time comes, you know, sometime next year or so, you need to replace the battery. It's simple as that.
But it's simple. That's the good thing about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to believe a battery like that can still hold on a year. I know in a flashlight, I pull one out, and it's not 6 months, and the battery's pretty much toast.
Yeah. So very good. I'll put those back in. Can't made you do all the hard work. Just very easy, good hand wrist workout. I think like 16 turns maybe even. And that's it. That was how to change that.
Okay, so this is the 36-inch, and it has 2 probes. And the reason I did the 2 probes is because we want to make sure, distance-wise from the top to the bottom, that we're getting temps in various areas of the pile. We do have 48-inch stems as well. They have 2 sensors in there. And we have a 24, well, we have several 24s as well. But knowing the bottom throughout the pile, we're getting those temperature readings of over 131 is vital. And if it was just a 24-inch, we can't get into that center of the pile, and it's critical that we monitor that situation.
So you needed the multiple sensors on the side.
Yes. And that was another option that Rio Temp had that other companies don't have. Going back in with it. Simple as that. To see the growth and acceptance of compost in the ag industry has been big, but not only with the organic companies, but also with the conventional. We're seeing a lot more conventional usage. And there's some other programs now. There's a Healthy Soils program that CDFA put together, and they help subsidize compost.
There's been quite a bit of a positive move in our compost industry, and no pun intended, very organic, with a lot of companies, organizations, nonprofit organizations, even at community levels, just spreading now, that message to homeowners, to businesses and restaurants, that compost is a viable solution.
Well, you look at what these feed yards have to contend with. There's a excess amount of manure. Obviously, you can see all this manure. What else would you do with it? We used to use it in the farming area, but they used to have to pay to get rid of it. And now it's a source of fertilizer that's being utilized by all the farm community. And it's worked out well for the feed yards as well as the ag industry.
A great service to Imperial Valley for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's another revenue stream for not only us, but think of the people we employ and equipment and maintenance that we have to have people service all the equipment and everything else. It's a good win-win for everybody.
Yeah. Well, Bruce, thank you once again.
You bet.
Thank you so much for having us, and just being a great operator as you are, and
Well, thank
bringing
you.
a lot of value to so many people.